Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Beauty by Julia. How are you doing? Let's see. I wanted to send the link to, let's see, share. Let's do main video. Share that to the short stream. If somebody listening to the short stream, also you can let me know if you can hear me or not. How's everybody doing today? Everybody who's tuning in. Yeah, if you're watching, just feel free to pop into the chat and just give a little shout out, say hi, let us know where you're tuning in from. Interesting. So I see there are some new tools here for live stream. So one is start a Q&A. So I'm going to ask here. So now we have also questions and we also have live chat. Let's see how it goes. So I see there are 2 people online now. Let's see if anybody's watching the short stream. Deep Purple is on the short stream. Hello, hello. Okay, so let's start off with just some like kind of announcements and housekeeping until we get some more people joining on in here. So first of all, for those of you who've seen the newsletter coming up, there's some pretty exciting stuff in the Wix ecosystem. One thing is the new Wix shift to MPA. I think that it should be quite imminent. Like most, I mean, new sites I think are already multi-page application, and I think the timeline for the old sites to cross over is not so far away. That was our last live stream was about that. We talked a little bit about MPA. The forum is gone. The API is also deprecated. So really, I think, yeah, people could still view the forum, but they can't post new posts and anything like that. And the final cutoff for like complete um, inability to use is sometime in the next year, like in 2026. For those of you who may or may not know, what we've been doing in the meantime is we've been experimenting with Discourse, not Discord, but Discourse. So this is kind of our forum here at the moment. And I've been seeing some posts here and there, but I feel like the frequency has gone down somewhat. So either people are not having any trouble with Wix, or or there's just something that's not as comfortable for them in terms of using this kind of third-party forum. I've been generally brainstorming about different options in terms of how to build a community around what we're doing here, and really create different avenues for interaction. So keep your eyes out for eyes and ears out for some more updates along those lines. I mean, there's stuff in the oven in terms of what might happen in the near future regarding that. So that's a little bit about what's going on in the Wix ecosystem. One important thing from a Wix Wiz perspective is that the course on Udemy is going to be going on sale for Black Friday. Let me send the link here. It's not on sale yet, so if you follow this link, it's not going to do anything right now, but starting, it goes to the, doesn't go to the homepage because I'm logged in, but starting, if I'm not mistaken, November 24th, possibly, it will be going on sale. Yeah, I think I put more details. Oh no, somewhere up here. Yeah, but basically there's going to be a Black Friday sale for the course. And it's going to be at the lowest price that I can put it at. Unfortunately, there's like limitations to how low you can make the pricing, like from a Udemy perspective. So it's going to be as low as I can make it. So if you're interested in taking the course and you've kind of been like holding off and waiting for the right time, then this holiday weekend is or the Black Friday holiday weekend. So that's not this weekend, the weekend after that. That's when it'll be on sale. In the chat, and you can check it out. So that's really what's been going on over here. Let me see here if we got any questions yet in terms of the Q&A. Okay, so I don't see any questions here in the main stream. Let me check over here in the short stream. So yeah, so it seems like attendance is on the lower side. For this live stream, which is okay. So for those of you who might be new here, I'll just give a little overview of what we're going to do. So generally, sometimes we have a topic, sometimes we don't, but this time I didn't really put a topic. I do have actually something that I'm thinking of talking about if no interesting questions come up. But generally, the purpose of this live stream is to answer your questions. So if anybody has any questions about Wix, a certain project they're working on, it can be very basic stuff, it can be more advanced stuff with regard to coding, etc. Then you can just go ahead and put those questions in the chat. I generally answer them first come, first serve with member priority. So if you're a channel member, then your questions will get priority and I'll be answering them first in the queue. So that's what's going on here. One topic that has been coming up, I've seen a lot of people asking about, and it's actually interesting because we're working internally as a team on something related, is the customizing Wix bookings. So I thought today we could take a little time to do a deep dive into that. I do want to create like a more orderly series about it, like with like real videos and not something that's over a live stream and more spontaneous. But I thought doing kind of diving into it over a live stream might be a good chance to kind of get your initial feedback and questions about the Wix booking system and customization, and kind of give a little direction into what people are looking for and looking to learn about with regard to customizing Wix bookings. Yeah, so the reason that this is especially relevant these days is that if we take a look at the Wix bookings JavaScript SDK, there are some new things that just recently came out. So just last week, Wix released a new add-ons API. So over here you can see this is a new feature that Wix released into the editor natively quite recently. But now they just released the API access to it. So that means, we can access it as developers and stuff like that as well. So, I mean, there's a lot more flexibility being introduced to the Wix bookings world. But let's start off let's start off with a new site. So I'm just going to spin up a studio blank canvas here. And the first thing to do is install the Wix Bookings app, because without that, we're not really going to get anywhere. And then we'll just explore kind of different ways in which we can customize Wix Bookings. I mean, we definitely will not talk about everything because there's, as you can see here, a plethora of APIs. Yeah, I see here already. We do have some Wix Bookings related comments coming out here in the chat. So I'm just going to read out the chat here. So let me see over here. So building a staff calendar. Oh, I'm currently building a staff calendar on a private Wix members page. Access restricted to employees only. I've successfully integrated full calendar and it's already displaying all the appointments. Now I'd like to add interactive functionalities that employees can reschedule, drag and drop bookings directly in the calendar, cancel or create new appointments directly from the interface. What would be the best or most efficient way to implement these actions within the Wix environment? Should I handle this through Vela backend functions using their Bookings v2 API or calendar APIs? So I'm curious, when you say full calendar, what you mean full calendar? Is that something that Wix provides, or is that something that like you connected an external calendar? Yeah, is that like an app that's offered in the Wix app market, maybe? Because that, I think it would really lie a lot on what that full calendar is. So yeah, so once you address that, we can talk about that a little more. But yeah, so generally installing the Wix Bookings app. So that's pretty easy, just here through the app market. And we can install here Wix Bookings. Just go ahead and add that to the site. Yeah, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking maybe we should have used a dev site, because I hope we don't run into any kind of problems with making payments and stuff like that. Okay, so we have Wix Bookings added in here. And let's go ahead and pop over to our dashboard and just set up like maybe a service that we can play around with. So let's head over here to our catalog and booking services. And let's just start from scratch over here. So just call this, let's say, test service. And to be free for now, because I don't want to run into any issues. We can play on with this add-ons, but these add-ons are a pretty new feature, essentially allowing you to add different different customizations to a booking. So let's just see what this might look like here. Okay, so like, for example, if let's see, what are we doing bookings for? So let's say we're a hair salon, and in addition to haircut, we want to allow people to add in, let's say, hair dyeing or something like that. So that's something that would go in over here. So first, we start by creating a add-on group. So let's just call this, let's say, customizations. Or you know what? I'm gonna going to make this a little more tangible. So let me go ahead and call this here. I'll call this haircut. Go ahead and save that. And let's go ahead over here. And I'm going to go ahead and add the add-ons here. So let's say what we typically do in a hair salon. So we'll call it let's call it, yeah, we'll call it dyeing, and add color to hair. And we'll create an add-on. So let's say black, and that would be $10. And you can also, so you can choose if you're adding like additional time, or you're adding a certain like product or feature or something like that. So, and I think that for the add-ons, even if it's a quantity, you can also do additional time. So let me just see over here. Okay, so this is quantity. So max quantity is 1, or additional time, and this is the additional time that it'll add on. So let's say 5 minutes, etc. So let's say, you know, we want to add on hair dyeing. So that could be, yeah, I guess max would be 1 for black. And then we could add in like another color. And that would be, let's say red, and red's extra money or something like that. Just like that. Okay, and you can also limit the amount of add-ons that would be. So now it's only no limit 1 because we have 2 add-ons. But yeah, if we were to add in more add-ons, then the limit would extend like that. So that's the new add-ons feature over here. And let's see what else we have over here. Yeah, I'm really hoping that I don't run into problems utilizing the API because we're not on a premium site here. Let's just go ahead and save that, just like that. And now if we take a look at our editor over here, then the first thing that I want to show you is that we have the option to replace certain pages and change Y, X, and V. Yeah, 5 viewers. It's a slow day. I guess it's the winter, or it's a Wednesday, or it's but yeah, I don't know what the exact reason is that we're yeah, that we're on kind of low viewership today, but it's okay. Okay. It looks like we might have a troll here, so I'm just gonna let's see, how do we do this? Could remove this person maybe? Oh no, how do we remove a person? Hide user on this channel. Okay, that does the trick. I'm flattered. My first troll. Okay, so take a look over here, and so one interesting thing that we can do with bookings is that we have the option to switch out some of the pages to be custom pages. So this is something we'd have to turn on dev mode for. So if we go over here and we click start coding over here, if you're in classic editor, then dev mode is going to be here on the upper left. Then back here inside of the booking pages, then we have the option here to switch out some of the pages here. So you see here now, now that I've turned on dev mode, so we have this new option here of replace with custom page. And then we can go over here and essentially this will create a blank page that will be shown instead of our calendar page, which can then be customized using a specific set of APIs. So that's one thing over here that we can do. And there are certain pages that we can switch out and certain pages that we can't switch out. And we also have the option, if I'm not mistaken, to completely skip the service page. So that's one thing that I saw that came up in a recent question. Over here. So let's see if it's in here in the settings. Yeah, I'm trying to remember where that exact setting is to make it go. Location, available time slots. Let me go over here. Let me do here. So if I just go over here and I publish the site, meanwhile, Beauty by Julie added some information here. So Full Calendar is a JavaScript library that provides an customizable calendar UI for web applications, implemented with HTML element. So what I'm assuming you're doing is that you're fetching all of the, like you're fetching all of the appointments and then you're passing them into the HTML element using like post message. Is that kind of how it's working? Yeah, if so, I would say, so regarding like interactive functionality, that would really depend on if this full calendar JavaScript supports that feature. Drop would be inside that calendar. Let's take a look over here. Correct me if this is not the one you're using, but views, date and time. Let's take a look at the demo maybe. Yeah, so it looks like there is a drag and drop feature within the calendar. So basically what it would mean is that you would need to, I'm assuming that this calendar would fire off an event once an event is dragged, dropped, and changed. And then using the data from that event, you would go ahead and you would change the bookings inside of Wix bookings. But maybe we could take a deeper look into that in a moment. Let's take a look here at our live site. Okay, I think I didn't add the booking to the menu, so let's do that. And by the way, just for those of you who might have joined a little late, so I'm just playing around with Wix bookings a little bit and talking about different customization options. but our QA is not limited to that. So if you have any other questions about Wix, it could be about anything that has to do with Wix. You can really just go ahead and and check it out. And post your questions here into the chat. Let's see if anybody's here on the short stream. No. Okay. Cool. So let's take a look over here at the bookings page, book online. Yeah, so if we go over here to, oh, yeah, so this is not working now because of because it's on a, let's see if I have a dev site here. Yeah, I have a dev site here. So let's edit this site instead. For those of you who are not familiar with dev sites, this could be an interesting learning point over here. If you go ahead and you create I think that this is the only path to creating dev sites that I know of at the moment. But if you go and you create an app in Wix, so for example, you just create, let's say, a block. Then from within blocks, you have the option to create dev sites. And the advantage are always plastic. I'm curious to see if in the future they'll maybe add in Wix Studio dev sites as well. I think it's warranted because if you want to test all the possible environments. But the advantage of test sites is that you don't run into like all of those issues with regard to you need to upgrade the site in order to do such and such. So essentially, it acts like a premium site, even though you haven't paid for it. That's what a dev site is, and yeah, as soon as this blocks page loads up, I can show you exactly how to go ahead and create one of those dev sites. This dev site specifically came with Wix stores installed, but we shouldn't have any problem to add in Wix bookings here as well. There you go. Oh, it's already installed. Okay. I already have it installed here apparently, so let's go ahead and I'll add it to the menu. Let's see over here. So I'm going to add a page. That's not what I wanted to do. It's using the old menus. Here, add menu. Oh, here, book online. So let me just move this up. I'll move it to be right after home. A little slow on this here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so now we got book online in there, and we should be able to play around with Wix bookings without hitting any kind of limitations. There we go. So let's go over here. I'm not sure which what bookings we have set up here already. So this goes directly to the calendar page, just like that. Yeah. So since I don't see any other questions, and we might as well make one person happy. So let's dive a little more into what Beauty by Julia asked over here in terms of using this calendar. And yeah, so let me see here. I saw that there's pricing, but I wonder if we can, okay, get started for free. And let's see. Initializing with script tags, that'll probably be the easiest option for us. Cool. So, let's see, a runnable example. Oh, it's actually live. Okay, so let's grab this over here. And we'll head back over here to our site. And I'm going to go to the home page just because it'll be easiest for us to do all the navigation and everything right there. And let's add a section here. And let's add an HTML element. So add in embed code, embed HTML, and we'll just plop this code right over here. And update. And there we go. So we have a calendar. Awesome. So, I mean, this is a cool element. I think like it could potentially also be used for like letting end users schedule, possibly. Um, so here, so you said you implemented a way that your employees can see all of the current appointments. Um, okay, so let's see. So what we need to do then is we need two pieces of the puzzle here. So we'd have to know how to like kind of. So let's take a look here at render. Okay, that's initialized in the calendar. Content injection. Is event content. Okay, that seems like a little more custom than what we want to do. Um, how do we pass in the different events? Let's see, methods. Let's see, getting started. Okay, they don't really explain that over here. Let's see what we have here. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing there's some kind of method that allows us to pass in the different events that should be displayed in the calendar when it loads up. These are just the different packages. The docs here are interesting. I would feel like creating an event would be like the most. Oh, here, event sources should be dynamically manipulated through events like add event source and remove. Okay, let's check this one out. Okay, events will be immediately fetched from this source and placed on the calendar. Interesting. So this is probably if you want to set up like maybe as like expose the Wix API as like an HTTP function. Events as array. Okay, so this is probably like the easiest implementation. So we just need to have the events, title, start, and end. Okay, that's pretty simple. But what we're going to need in our backend, um, so let's go ahead and create a new web module. Let's call this, just call it bookings. And what we're going to do is we're going to need to get essentially the entire calendar over here. And this is all stuff I'm guessing you already did, Beauty by Julia. But I just want to kind of catch everybody up so they can see what we did so far. So that would be here in the SDK. So we want to get the current bookings. So let's take a look over here. Yeah, so the SDK has two, like we could take a look at the SDK here. And we also have the option of looking at the SDK. If we go through the API reference, then we have REST and SDK side by side. They're still kind of doing a little cleanup work over there on that. Yeah, so if we take a look here, also we have here bookings. And yeah, so we can take a look here. Let's see, calendar. Let's see, calendar V1. Oh, has been replaced by calendar V3. Where's calendar V3? So it's its own, okay, events. Well, this is part of the events API. So I guess this is a unified like calendar API for all, like for also for events and also for bookings and also for everything. Um, let's see what get schedule will do. That probably gets let's see, Wix bookings integration. Availability calculating, bookings availability, working hours, custom event types, participation tracking, course dates. Yeah, so this might be more for like the scheduling part, but to get the actual bookings that have already been made, that's probably still through the bookings. Let's take a look here. Bookings, bookings, bookings reader. And then probably here would be query extended bookings. Right, so this would get essentially all the existing bookings, or up to 100 bookings. So let me set this to be with elevated permissions. I'm just going to copy this code snippet over here. We'll head over here into the backend. Just paste that in over here. We'll install these two packages. And let's just call this query extended bookings method. We'll return the response over here. And here we'll just call this a get bookings. And we'll return this. Just like that. And we're waiting for these to install. Yeah, it would be interesting to hear Beauty by Julia if I'm doing something different than what you did in your approach. It could be interesting for everybody to learn different approaches here. Let me give it a try. The packages already have installed. No, we're still waiting. We're still waiting for those packages. There we go. Let's try this again. Cannot find module Wix bookings. Try and load this. Let's see again. That's weird. Let me go ahead and just check here. Yes, it doesn't have them installed here, even though I installed them. Wix bookings failed to install. Okay, let's try and do it manually. Let's just show only Wix packages. Let's look for bookings. And essentials. Oh, the essentials seems like it's still installing. It usually is very quick. I don't know why it's taking so long to install here. For those of you who are just joining in, I'll just do a little bit of a catch up as to what we're doing. So today, like the topic that we're playing around with is customizing Wix bookings. And specifically, we're focusing on a use case that Beauty by Julia brought up, where they're building a custom calendar for their staff members to manage bookings. Maybe you want to share a little bit more about why what your need was for this, because inside of the bookings app itself, we do have there is a calendar that members can use and look at. So it could be you didn't want to add your staff members as collaborators to the website or something like that. Yeah, but essentially creating a custom calendar where all the bookings can be viewed and managed. So we're using this full calendar third-party library that we embedded here in an HTML, and now what we're doing is we're trying to get the actual bookings so we can pass them into the calendar. But for some reason, our packages are not installing, which is odd, to say the least. Yeah, in the meantime, what I owe you here from Wix Blocks is your custom app, and you go ahead and click test. Should allow me to. Okay, it's like Wix systems in general are having a little trouble right now. Anybody else having trouble on their Wix site? Okay. Welcome, Akil. So Beauty by Julia said we need the extra page because everybody works from their phone, and the Wix app does not handle this properly. It's not clear or easy to use. The connection through Google Calendar is unfortunate one way only. It can only display the bookings. Oh, so you want people to be able to see like their own Google Calendar events in the custom calendar alongside the bookings. Is that what you want? Um, at the moment, the Wix calendar shows it shows like it'll block off. It'll show like busy if it's something that's already blocked off in your Google Calendar, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but maybe I misunderstood what you want there. For some reason, these packages are just refusing to install. I'm not sure why. Um, yeah, what I can do in the meantime is I can make a booking here. So we actually have something that'll come back when we query all the bookings. Let's just do here test at gmail.com. I should probably book something that's a little later. But this might be a good example of also showing something that's been booked. Wow. Is anybody else having trouble using any of the Wix systems? Let's see, I don't know. No. See, it says everything is operational. Let me try booking something that's later. I'll book something for 3:30 p.m. Oh, there we go. Okay, maybe it was just okay, I'm going to complete the checkout here. Let me see here. Continue. Just don't want to expose any sensitive information here. And okay. Okay. So we completed the booking. So we should have now. Our package is actually installed. Uh, this is the first time that I'm encountering this issue. So, by the way, if you're just joining in now, it is an open Q&A, so feel free to put any questions that you have um, about Wix bookings, customizing Wix bookings, or generally about Wix. You're welcome to go ahead and put those in the chat. We'll try and address them shortly. Okay, I'm gonna give the editor a refresh. I don't know. It's not managing when installed. It is for some reason, which is unfortunate. Yeah, this Wix block doesn't seem to be doing well either. But basically, what happens after this stage is that you'll have a pop-up and you'll have the option to create a dev site if you want. So that's what happened there. I don't know what's going on today, everybody. Let's see. Let's try installing these packages again. They are already installed. No, they are not. Let's see. I mean, we could technically always revert to Velo if the SDK is not not behaving well today. Let's start getting ready for that option. So let's go over here. I'm going to open up the Velo reference. And let's look for Wix bookings, backend, bookings. So it would be bookings query builder, query bookings. Yeah, so this could be like a backup if the packages don't manage to install. So let's say we want to query, well, let's just query all the bookings initially. I'll comment that out. And let's query here. Okay, let's comment this out. Okay. So let's see over here. So this we got back six bookings here. But since I only made one booking recently, let's see what we have here. Booked entity and single session start end. That's weird. There's no start and end time. Let me check this one. This is probably the most recent one. Yeah, so this one, booking revision, no, booked entity, single session. That's weird that it doesn't show. Let's see the created date. I don't know. For some reason, it's not showing dates here. It's not showing any dates here. But I think that the data is probably there. It's just not, for some reason, it's not showing it here in the, like, for example, let's go ahead and copy this JSON. Let's go to JSON viewer. And let's see what this looks like here. So booked entity, single session here. Yeah, so you see here that the values are showing, even though they weren't showing kind of in our test suite inside of Wix. And the created date for this one is, no, this is in September. So let's see. Then this one might be the most recent one. Status undefined. And this one was, yeah, this one is the created date today. I'm not sure why the status is undefined. That's interesting. See what the status of the other one is. Yeah, they're all undefined. Oh, confirmed. This one is confirmed. This one's undefined for some reason. Yeah, I mean, you could technically filter by status and stuff like that, but let's just, since we're just playing around, we could take this array as it is. And essentially, we're going to want to map it out to events that this calendar can read, essentially. So we need a title, we need a start, and we need an end. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly in terms of formats what this calendar supports. So I'm going to use what Wix gives us out of the box initially, and then if that doesn't work, then we'll adjust. But yeah, so what we'll do here is inside of the back end, um, well, we could just return the items like this. So we can get here, we can call this query bookings here from our home page. From backend slash bookings web. Now let's create a function here. Populate bookings calendar. And what we'll do first thing is we'll say const bookings equals to await query bookings. And then we'll say here const events equals to bookings.map. And then for each booking, we will return something in this the format that we have there. So we'll have here title, and we'll have the start time, start and title, start and end. And then what we're going to do over here is the title can be the booking dot. Let's see what we have over here. Booking dot booked entity title. So booking dot booked entity dot title, and this can be booking dot booked entity dot dot single session dot start, and then here we'll have the same thing, just dot end. Awesome. And then what we're going to need to do is we need to pass these bookings into our HTML somehow. So let's take a look over here. And let's see if how do we update instead of, so here we declare a new calendar. But how do we, is there a way for us to push the events after? Hmm. Maybe add event source. Let's see. Yeah, maybe this is the add event source. So not what I said before. Okay. So what we need to do here inside of our HTML is to be ready for when the HTML receives a message. So that we can also take a look here inside of Velo and look for an HTML element. HTML. let's see, post message. Okay, so here what we want to do is this is going to go inside of our HTML. Oops, am I zoomed in this whole time? This is going to go inside of our HTML over here. And then what we'll do here is if we get the data, that data, so let's here say event.data. So we'll have something we'll pass in called events, let's say. And then what we'll do is we'll call this method calendar.addEventSource, and we'll just add in the events like that. So calendar.addEventSource, and here we'll have event.data.events. I don't recommend coding like this in general here inside of this editor. It's like really not user-friendly, and it's very easy to make mistakes, which I might have easily done here, but yeah, that's just for now because trying to save some time here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have, so this is our HTML. Let's just call this HTML calendar. And we'll select that HTML calendar dot post message. And here, let me just double check the docs. Okay, so the message itself is going to be our data. So what we'll do is we'll pass in the events here as an object. Let's not forget to call this like this. And let's just add a log here. Console.log events. Okay, I think we're ready to do some initial testing. Let's see what's going on over here. So close this. Yeah, so it's not showing our calendar at all. So this is not the most updated version of the site. And okay, so I did not other events. Let's try to figure out why. Map is not a function. Okay. Cool. So the problem is somewhere over here. So let's do here console.log bookings. And let's see what's going on here in terms of our errors. Catch, return the error. Okay, let's try that. Because I assume that bookings is an array because it comes back with the array of items, but yeah, I mean, if there's a problem getting the bookings, then that's not going to map. Application error. Access is denied. You may not have the appropriate permissions. Okay. So basically, it's an auth problem. If we were using the SDK, then we would use the essentials here, and that would circumvent it, but that's not working. So in terms of using the Velo API, we need to check how to circumvent the permissions here. We need to set suppress auth to true. So that means here, I think it's inside of the find over here. We'd set suppress auth true, and that should do it. So I'm going to go ahead and publish that. Yeah, everything we're doing on the front end should be the same if we were using the SDK packages. The only thing that would change is like the back end and how we're retrieving the. Okay, there we go. So now we have bookings and we have events. Um, yeah, so what I'm guessing is that the problem is the formatting of these event times. Like this is how they're displaying here. Um, yeah, so basically we need to convert it to a different format. Okay, so let's try so let's see here. And this is usually where I'd just come in and start using ChatGPT to write like a JavaScript function to convert a date to this format. And I know that you can't see here my screen, but you'll see in a moment what pops out the other end. So yeah, so let's go. So this is the function that we're going to be using for the conversion. And then we'll just apply this over here. So to ISO date time. Let's try that. Let's see. I feel like this isn't the because the events wouldn't display like that in the events array if it had converted. There we go. Okay. So now it's definitely displaying the right format in terms of the date times, but it's still not displaying over here in our lovely calendar. So what might be the problem? So let's take a look and see and make sure our HTML component. Oh, event sources. So one thing I'm seeing here is that the events are, you don't just pass in the array as is, but you pass in an object with the events inside. So that might be one place that we're not doing that correctly. So let's go over here. And then, yeah, what I'll do here is I'll say const events equals to event.data. Um, and then let's pass that in here again as an object. So we'll have here events. I think that's how it should be done. Let's see. Yeah, we didn't really get any kind of like error messages that I saw from within. Oh, calendar.add event source is not a function. Okay. Okay, why is it a function? Ah, okay, because the calendar is defined here inside. So this also needs to move. This all needs to move into here. Let's try that, because the calendar, we defined it inside that on downloaded, but the on message was defined outside of that, essentially, so that could create some issues for us. So let's go over here and try this again. And now either we hope it works or our message changes. Either of those would be a success. Let's take a look. Okay, so we got a new error message. Unexpected token. That means I did some bad copy paste. 1 second. Yeah, that means that this and this is why I told you that we don't that we don't do the editing inside of there. Okay, let's see. Um, yeah, so I think this got flipped around here. Oh no, that's that. That's for that. Which line is it on though? Okay. I'm just gonna throw it into ChatGPT to lint it. And that should do the trick. So let's go over here and paste there. Update, publish. Yay! Okay, so there we go. So we see here um, the two events that are scheduled for today. I hope you see them kind of. But at the moment, it doesn't seem like I can drag them. So that's probably a setting that we need to initialize when we load the calendars. Let's take a look here at these docs. Review specific options. Um, I'm trying to figure out how this documentation works here. Docs. Like I don't even see a way from get here. Let's try the search. Drag. Third-party dragging libraries. Let's see. Event drag start. Where is the dragging? Dragging. Dragging between calendars. That sounds more complicated than what we want to do. Editable. Determines whether events on the calendar can be modified. Okay, so that means we need to set editable to be true. And then, let's see, event start editable. You must enable the interaction plugin before using this setting. Oh, so that might be... Oh, if we're using the global bundle... Okay, let's try passing in this editable true and see what that does for us. So I'm going to add that in here to the calendar settings here, editable true. Let's see what's going on here. There we go. Okay, so we have drag and drop. We have drag and drop capabilities here. Okay, so now we're at the starting point, essentially, of where Beauty by Julia is. And what we want to do is that when the event is dragged and dropped, then it will essentially change the event in Wix. So one thing that I'm noticing here is that for the drag and drop, at the moment it seems like we can change the dates, but we can't really change the times. I'm assuming that that's another setting here. Yeah, like maybe event start editable. Oh, default true. Um, Maybe like we'd have to display. Maybe the initial calendar display would have to be maybe like I'm just guessing week view. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I don't know if this will actually work. No, it doesn't look like it's working. So let's try and use our search again here. Initial view. View. Um, mm, Time grid day. Calendar view. View object. Initial view. Day grid week. Let's try that. Like I think it. Oh, there we go. Day grid week. I don't see time slots here. How do we see time slots? Um, Day grid week. Hmm, time grid view. time grid week instead of time grid week instead of day grid week. There we go. Okay, it's super ugly, but it seems to work. And now let's see what this looks like here. Okay, so then we can go, yeah, awesome. So now we have like a really robust drag and drop where we can change like not only the day, but we can also change the time. So that's awesome. And the last thing that essentially we need to do to make this all work is at the moment when we're passing in the booking events, essentially. So we don't have a unique identifier here. Like we have title, start, end, but we don't have, let's say, the booking ID or something like that, which is really critical to us. So let's see if there's a way for us to pass in like a unique identifier. So that would be, let's go back here, event sources as an array, event objects, ID. Okay, so we could put an ID in like that. So let's add the ID. Oh no. I just closed the editor by accident. No biggie, no biggie. Okay, so in the meantime, what we can do is we can also find the drag event drag stop. Okay, so this is going to be the event that we're going to be tapping into. And triggered when event dragging stops. The callback is guaranteed to be triggered after a user drags an event, even if the event doesn't change date time. It is triggered before the event's information has been modified and before the event drop callback is triggered. But how do we tap into these events? Is it like calendar dot on event drag stop? Ah, interesting. Okay. So we need to pass, okay. Event drag stop. Okay, so that needs to be in our, let's see, is our editor loaded already? Okay, so let me grab the updated version of our code from here and go into the code pen. And what we're going to do here is here we're going to add the event. So here we're going to say event drag stop. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a function here, essentially, from what I saw in that example. Let me go back. Yeah. I'm just going to function info. So we're going to have here a function. And then here we're going to have info. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to do window dot. I'm pretending I know by heart. Let's go back here to, or let's search for on message. parent, this is what we want here. So, whoops. This is going to go here. And here, instead of this, we're going to do star. And here, instead of message, we're going to have info. So essentially what's going to happen is that when event drag stop runs, it'll send that information through our HTML element back into our Velo code, and then we can do whatever we want with it. Let's go ahead and put that over here. Update that, and we'll also update here the IDs. So here, in addition to title, we'll also have ID, which will be booking dot. We have to run that in the backend again. Or actually, no, I have the JSON viewer now. Where's that? Let's see. We have the ID here. So just underscore ID. So here we're going to have booking dot underscore ID. And shoot, no, wait, one more thing. One more thing we need to do is we need to program the on message for the HTML element. So let's do that over here. So we'll have here HTML calendar dot on message. And here we'll have event. And we'll just do console.log message event. Okay, that should do the trick. And let's see what we have over here. Okay, so let's try to move one of these. So I'll just move it. Failed to execute post message. HTML anchor element object could not be cloned. HTML component received a message. Okay, that's the events that okay, that's inside the HTML element. That's not what we want on the outside. Failed to execute post message on window. HTML anchor element object could not be cloned. Okay. Let's do this. Inside of our HTML calendar, let's add a log over here. So let's do here console.log info. And let's see what info we get there and why that might be causing the issue that we're having. Let's try moving one of these. Info. So let's see here. Event, view, JS event, event. So basically what we need to do from here is to extract the ID and the updated date time of the event, essentially. Okay, so range. Start. Which one did I move? Okay, so there's definitely a time zone thing going on here. Definition. So the public ID seems to be the ID that we pass in, I'm guessing. Let's make sure here. Yeah, we didn't pass any time zone info here. That might be why this is causing a bit of a problem. Uh, so CEE is the ID here. Let's drag this to there. Oh, it didn't actually change. Maybe it could be that if it throws an error inside the callback, then the change doesn't, then the change isn't successful, which could actually be a benefit. Let me try and test out that theory. So let's um, I mean, what we could do here is we could um, either we could stringify the data and before we send it through, or we can um, either we could stringify the data before we send it through, or we could just not pass in everything, but pass in only part of the data that we're getting, because some part of this data is causing a problem and some is not. Um, let's see, dot event. I think dot event should give us everything that we need. So let's try doing just dot event. So we'll do here info dot event. Update that, publish. Let's try moving it again. So I'll try moving this down one. No. Window number format cannot be cloned. Okay, so let's try my other approach here. So what we'll do here is we'll do JSON dot stringify like that. And then we'll have to parse it on the other side. And that should prevent it from causing any kind of issue. There we go. Okay, so the drag was successful this time. So you saw that it stayed in place. And here we're getting the data. And this is essentially just this data part is the part that we can parse and then use on our end. So here we have, let's see, 11. Oh, that's minus 05. And end is 12. Oh, here, the message. That's weird because it doesn't seem to have changed the time in the. Let's see here. Event. Instance. Range. Um, so why doesn't it send the new? Let me try to move it again somewhere else. That's weird. So we get the data about the old um about its like previous location, but not about the updated time and date that it was moved to, which is odd. Yeah, I mean, I guess what we could do is that after the drag, we could probably do something like this, like get event by ID, and then get the updated time, I'm guessing. Um, info.event.start. And then there's a revert here. So one of the things that you're going to need to think about when you're designing this system is that how to handle scenarios where the the change is unsuccessful or not permitted or something like that. Because I don't think you'll be able to use this info.revert because yeah, unless you somehow no, because when you send the message, yeah, some thinking would need to go into that. So unless you manage to craft the sending of the message to Wix as some kind of promise that you're waiting for it to resolve, and then only if it gets like a post message back in time, then it resolves or something like that. So that might be, so you might have to figure out a different way to do this reverting essentially. Oh, I see. What I was using the event drag stop and event drop. Those are two different things. Let's try using this event drop one instead. And that might be why we weren't getting the right times, dates and times. Let's try this again. So I'm going to drag it here to 1 p.m. There we go. Okay. So now it's showing here 1 p.m. Yeah. Okay. So now essentially the last piece of the puzzle is to update the booking. And that would be done here, the booking writer. And let's see here. Yeah, reschedule booking essentially. And let's see what needs to be passed in over here. So yeah, the new slot of the booking. Yeah, there's a lot that would need to go into here. So I don't know if we have time to implement this final piece of the puzzle right now, but essentially it would involve calling this API. And you have the information that you need because you have the booking ID. And in terms of the slot, what you would need to do is you would need to um, find a slot that works based on the new time and the start time that it was dragged to. So you would do time slots, and you do um, I guess this one, get event time slot. No, that's events. It's weird that they have like this event stuff thrown in here with the the bookings. Um, yeah, maybe like get availability time slot. And yeah, then you'd pass in the service ID, start date, end date, and then you'd have to get the list of available time slots and then pass one of those slots into the rescheduling. Um, there are a few challenges here because there's no indication in this calendar kind of like what the available time slots are. So it's like potentially very easy for somebody like here they can drag like half an hour at a time, but you'd have to check here in terms of the settings, in terms of like if there's a way to, oh, here, so like see valid range. So you'd probably set like a valid range of like beginning, end of day when they can drag and drop. But also there must be a way to um, do like the time increments and like how much of a time increment can they drag and drop, and making sure that there's no conflicts between before you're doing the reschedule. So there's a lot of logic that needs to go into like the concept of rescheduling is much more complicated than displaying existing bookings. Because displaying existing bookings, you know that all those bookings are valid because they went through the Wix like booking system and they're booked already. But in terms of rescheduling, you know, you have to kind of validate that you're living up to all these different constraints that would go ahead and be included in rescheduling. Um, or at least implement a scenario where if you attempt to reschedule and it doesn't work, then the person will see that like the schedule, like it kind of bounces back to where it originally was on the calendar, and they get like a warning saying that reschedule option is not possible. But then you'll end up having a lot of scenarios where people are trying to reschedule, and it's a little hard for them because they don't know exactly when they can and can't reschedule to. Um, yeah. So I hope this gave like a little direction. Or I know we didn't get much farther than implementing what you've probably already done. But I hope that other people that were watching found this interesting. And this is really just like one out of a gazillion different examples of how you could possibly um, do Wix bookings customizations. Um, this full calendar third-party plugin is not the only calendar option. There are probably many others. So really, there's a lot to be talked about. Um, yeah. So I think we're going to wrap up here because I didn't really see any other questions except for this one. We have been here for a little close to 2 hours now. So thank you all for joining in, whoever joined in. It's good to see everybody every once in a while. Hopefully next time we'll get a slightly a bigger crowd. And again, just a reminder that the course on Udemy is going on sale this holiday weekend, so you can feel free to check that out if you're interested. And yeah, with that, we're going to wrap up. So thanks again for joining in, and I'll see you next time.